Welcome everybody to another episode of the Sleeper Wire Show. Yeah, you guys ready to go? I mean, we are pumped up. It is week 2 starting tonight as we record. I am your host, Nick Sumrall, and with me on tonight's show is none other than Mike. And
Dirty Jobs.
There he is. And Hus is with us. Prophet Hus.
What is up? What is up, Nick? How you been, man? How'd you do in the week?
Oh, I did fantastic. I am in 6 leagues this year, and I won all 6. Boom! 6-0, baby.
Very nice. That's a nice number.
So
I wish I was in all
6.
6 leagues.
Chris won, or I won 7. Chris won 8, and Hus won 9.
Yeah. Well, that's what the people are here for—to be around
That's
the champions. And looks like we're on the nice starts. Well, I knock on some wood before something happens to any of my players this week.
I'm going to go here for a second. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
Booyah.
It's beautiful. Beautifully set up.
That was really good. Guys, bad puns aside, we got an awesome show for you guys. We've got so much to cover. We're going to dive into the hot topics for this week, but we're also going to do a very popular segment we have here called Fantasy Jeopardy.
Yeah, it's back. That's right. I'm going to get some answers wrong because I answered them incorrectly. I'm excited about that, possibly.
That is right. And Mike, I don't think has ever done Fantasy Jeopardy with us here.
I'm going to laugh about that, him answering questions.
That should be exciting. I mean, so the way it works for some of you who are just listening for the first time, it's a fun way to kind of dive into different topics, and storylines for the week. A lot of unique, I'll say, things happened in week 1, things that nobody could have predicted. And we're going to just tackle those things in a game show format, make it a little fun, and then we're going to talk about the topic once the answer has been correctly figured out by our co-hosts, Hus and Mike. So without further ado, though, let's get into the hot topics for the week.
Let's do it.
All right, so coming up, the first thing I'm going to get at you guys is the Odell Beckham news. That's the biggest storyline. That's the biggest head scratcher at the moment for people who own Odell Beckham. He came out and said he'll be, his injury is about a 6 to 8 week injury, but he was in practice. I saw a report on NFL Network that, he's been, he practiced well. He was running. He cut on his left leg, which, he uses to plant. So he was able to cut on that left leg. But there's still uncertainty. And, of course, it being a Monday night game makes things very shaky. So, Hus, do you think Odell Beckham plays Monday night?
No, I mean, if he does, you're not starting him. I mean, you're not, you can't. I mean, he's going to be a decoy out there. I mean, if he's been playing this off like so casually, it's definitely bothering him. At one point he said it was a 4 to 12 week thing. Granted, it's been 3 weeks so far, so he has that under his belt. But if he's sticking even to that first thing he said, we still got, he's not going to come back until week 3, then, possibly at 100% and possibly week 5. So, man, this hurts me. It hurts my heart as a Giants fan, man. I just, if we can look at anything, that we saw last week, albeit it was week 1, and they did make some changes, on the second half and looked kind of better. Man, he is our offense, and without him on the field, I don't know, and not only that, I mean, he's so awesome to watch for fantasy owners. So that hurts as well, too, just even putting my fandom aside. So it hurts all over. It hurts for all of us.
Well, I will actually be there Monday night at the Giants-Lions game, so I will tell you firsthand what it'll be like to be there, even though everybody can watch it on their TV. I will be able to get a nice view of the game and see what's going on. Yeah, not too bad.
Nice. Really
so
nice.
It'll be exciting for sure. But so what about this, Mike? I mean, do you think then that the Odell Beckham owner should have somebody like a Kenny Golladay, or maybe even if he's out there still Marvin Jones as backup, or should they just go ahead and plan ahead like they don't have him at all?
This is actually probably my fault, the whole entirety of the situation, because I drafted so heavy with OBJ. And I've got him on probably 8 different teams right now. And on all 8 of those teams, he's sitting on my bench. I've got Golladay on some of them. I drafted, luckily, wide receiver heavy in most of my drafts, so I was able to kind of slot him out. But, boy, this is bad. This is bad, boys.
Yeah, right after we just had a DJ, man, why? Why, fantasy gods, why? Why'd you do this to us so early in the season? It's too early. It's week 2.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting week for sure, and I'm sure it's been really interesting for you David Johnson owners out there. Looks like in the reports that he's going to be out by possibly Christmas is what Bruce Arians came out and said. Which means you're not getting them back till at least week 16, which means that's basically championship time.
Right.
And I would basically go ahead at this point and plan like you're not going to have them at all. So we've got 3 running backs there now. They just picked up Chris Johnson, and they've got Kerwin Williams, Andre Ellington. Sorry, I almost threw up on the outside. I mean, it is bad news because you're gonna have to figure out 3 running backs trying to replace 1. So is there one that maybe sticks out to you, or the 3 that you're like people can go ahead and be a little more confident in, or do you just want to avoid this whole backfield altogether?
I mean, it's something I definitely have. I want to stick my finger in this pie and test it out, see if it's warm.
Oh, damn.
At least, but I don't know. I mean, it's just so many pieces in it. I don't know how to feel about it, especially with this week. I think the whole Chris Johnson thing was kind of by design, to let him go, bring him back so they can, pay him that vet fee. It happens. Teams do it all the time. So it could be a chance that he comes out the gate and starts, even though they're saying it's Kerwin. They did let go of Chris Johnson. But again, as I alluded to, I feel like it was more for money's issues. But I don't know. I don't feel safe starting in any of these guys. If you have to flex one of them, sure, Kerwin. If you're in a PPR, Ellington. But yeah, I'd want to see how this shakes out. Have a feeling Chris Johnson's probably, going to be out there. And I mean, he's the one that looked the best in the past doing it. He knows the offense. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's a mess, but it is an offense that it's good offense. So if one of those guys can produce and stick, it's going to be good. Reed does like to stick with one guy. I'm sorry, not Reed. The coach does like to stick with
Bruce
one
Arians.
guy. Bruce Arians like to stick with one guy. So
I mean, let's put it this way. You're not putting out any one of these guys this week.
No, I mean, you wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't.
Oh, you disagree, Mike.
All right, I take.
I think Kerwin Williams. I really like that Arizona offensive line, and I don't know if you guys watched any football last week, but did you watch Carson Palmer throw the ball?
I didn't watch any football.
Well, I'm saying, did you watch Carson Palmer throw the ball? They're not going to want to do that.
Well, he looked pretty bad.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to have to run a lot. I really think he's going to get the opportunity here. I think it's going to be Chris Johnson's backfield to lose, but I don't think it's going to be like that for a while.
If anything, excuse me. If anything, I'll have to say is I was yawning just because this whole I'm like ready to move on already. But listen, I mean, this whole Arizona backfield. Look, this may be your only possible week of starting Kerwin Williams. I'll say as a flex option, and hear me out before anybody digs into me. They're playing the Colts. The Colts were awful last week, and guess what? They're not going to be any better this week. That team is just a dumpster fire. That team may be worse than the freaking Jets this season, and that's bad.
Yeah, they gave
even
up
when luck
23
comes,
points, so I mean it's pretty bad. But it's week 1.
I know that. I understand, but all I'm saying is that I just think that I've seen the injuries that the Colts have suffered because I'm my best buddy. He's a Colts fan, so him and I talk about the Colts. There was a lot of injuries on defense already. Vontae Davis out. You got the two rookies that they drafted high, Malik Hooker and Quincy Wilson out for the Colts. Obviously, Andrew Luck's still out. Their top center, Ryan Kelly's still out. But there's just so many injuries to that team that's making it look so bad. That's why it's like, I mean, I'm not going to start Kerwin Williams, but I can't fault you if you think about starting him this week just because they're playing the Colts.
Yeah, I'm starting him all day right there.
Where's your confidence level on Kerwin, Mike? Because it sounds like you're going to start him, but how really confident are you about him? If you got him on your team, say you got, I don't know, you got C.J. Anderson on your team, you got Kerwin Williams, who you're starting?
Kerwin Williams all day.
Wow.
I just like the opportunity. Like it's against the Colts, and like Nick said, I don't think that this is going to be a long-term decision right here. I think it's going to be a short-term thing, but I think this is the weekend you play him. I'm really high on him this weekend. I'm starting him in all my daily lineups.
Yeah, I got him in a few dailies. That's for sure.
So here's a fun tight end situation. If you're, and we're recording this of the Thursday night game, so probably this, you know what, this is just a fun topic to talk about because I'm just interested maybe to see season long what Prophet Hus thinks of this situation. He's the deep sleeper guy. You got tight end C.J. Fedorowicz on IR, and you got two behind him that have concussions. Is there any one of these guys that stick out to you, Hus?
As far as
tight end is concerned,
left. Right? I mean, who's left on the team? I mean, this was, when I first heard about, Fancy Hat Man, as I like to call him, that no one else calls him, C.J. Fedorowicz, when he got injured, I was like, great for Ryan Griffin. Gonna plug him in a few dailies, maybe snagging him in a couple leagues and concussion. So yeah, this is good news for, I guess, Ellington. This might be good news for Tyler Ervin. Other than that, I don't really see it. I don't even know who their third guy is. I mean, they use these two guys exclusively. They paid both of these guys. So it's interesting to see. They like their two tight end set. I think they're going to have to figure it out. I think Bill O'Brien's going to have to change up some things. I don't think he's just going to plug in two random tight ends in there. I think he's going to see a lot of Tyler Ervin. He looked pretty decent last week in the slot. So you're going to see more of him. Maybe you see more Bruce Ellington. And geez, the guy DeAndre Hopkins got fed last week, 16 targets. I think you could definitely see double digits again.
So, this was just a small topic. I don't really want to get too deep into it, but let me just ask this to wrap up that topic. Ryan Griffin, you mentioned, he would be the next guy up behind Fedorowicz once he recovers from his concussion. Any fantasy value you see going forward season long? Oh,
yeah. I like Ryan Griffin a lot. I mean, he was a guy that you just hated if you had C.J. Fedorowicz because he was used so often. And again, like I just said, they just paid him. So they like them both. They both block well. They both catch well. So yeah, this is great news within the next week or so for Ryan Griffin, the Fedorowicz news. I think he's going to be a nice slow sleeper. You can put in your lineups here and there, especially in dailies. I think he's going to be a nice guy.
Nice guy. Good guy. I'd go out to a bar.
Good guy to have around. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Last piece of news. It's a small news. There was a lot that happened, but I'd rather get into it more in the Fantasy Jeopardy format. So I'm going to keep the news to a minimum here. Last guy I want to talk about with you guys, though, is, there was a report that came out. Pete Carroll said he's anxious to see more of Chris Carson. So with the way the god-awful Seahawks backfield played, I mean, when you consider Eddie Lacy, 5 carries, 3 yards, and C.J. Prosise not much better, and then you got Chris Carson. He actually wasn't too bad. I think, 6 carries, 39 yards? If I'm not mistaken. Anybody want to fact-check me on that one?
Dirty Jobs, I'm sure will have that for you. It was 39 yards on... Yeah, just 6 carries. and he had a reception for 10. So
see, I didn't even need fact checking. I got my facts checked.
You had him ready.
Yeah, I had him ready. I knew it. All right, so 6 carries, 39, not too bad. I mean, the offensive line is awful here, though. That's the huge concern for this team. So, Mike, is there anything to get excited though here for Chris Carson? Do you think he'll be the real deal as the season goes on, or is this Thomas Rawls backfield when he comes back?
I actually have a lot to say about this guy here a little bit later on in the show, but yeah, I'm fully on board on this guy.
Oh, okay. A little clue later. Okay. I got you, Mike. I got you dirty.
He's got you. He's got you dirty. All right. So we'll get into him later, but now the moment I think everybody's been waiting for, including myself. Yeah. I love myself a little Fantasy Jeopardy because it's always so fun watching all of you screw up.
Yeah, it's been 3 years and we still can't get it right. So
at least Julian's not in on this one.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, at least Julian's not in it. He's the one who screws up all the time with Fantasy Jeopardy. But Fantasy Jeopardy, so let me explain a little more how this works, guys. So it is just like the game Jeopardy. I mean, there's really not much difference. We don't have topics and whatever. Our topic is fantasy football. And my hint to you guys to help you out is it's relevant to what happened in week 1. Okay. So think of the storylines, what happened, all that kind of stuff, so that don't overthink things. It's pretty simple when you really think about what I'm asking here. Okay. I'm going to give you guys the answer, and you are going to return an answer to me in the form of a question.
All right, question. All right.
And we need buzzer sounds. So, Hus, what's your buzzer sound?
Let me see. I'm gonna go with kaplunk. I don't know. Kaplunk. Yeah. It's gonna be long. That's
just
a long
like this
buzzer
segment.
sound. Yeah.
Just like this segment is gonna go kaplunk. Mike, okay. What is your buzzer sound going to be?
Ding. A manly ding.
A manly ding. Kaplunk and
manly ding. Oh, boy.
What you get yourself into?
Ding.
All right. They're great. So we got ding and kaplunk. Got it. All right. So I'm going to give you guys the very first question, and we're going to see how this goes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now, you have to let me finish before you buzz in.
Okay.
This running back was targeted the most in week 1 as a receiver.
Kaplunk.
Hus.
As a receiver, that kind of threw me off there. But who is Tariq Cohen?
That is correct. And you answered it properly. So now that we've gotten that away, Hus is 1 point. And we're going to start with you, Hus, on my question. My question here is, yes, Tariq Cohen had a breakout game. It was a surprise. Nobody really saw that coming. The Bears have planned it that way. But I personally don't see him dipping into Jordan Howard's workload. I think they're very much going to be used heavily offense because what else do they have? But what do you see this matchup for Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard against Tampa Bay coming up?
I think it's going to be a good matchup for them both. I said you can flex them both on our mail sack. Not flex them both. Obviously, you're starting Howard, and I think you could flex Cohen. I think he's got the volume. I think I agree with you there. He's not going to impact Howard at all as far as rushing. He'll spell him, but that's it. But he's pretty much affecting the receivers there. They lost Kevin White for the season. He's just been the most electric guy. I mean, he's, given that opportunity, I don't see him getting 12 targets a game. I don't see that happening, but you can see about 6, and he's pretty efficient with the ball. He seems to have pretty good rapport with Glennon. I could expect about 10, 11 points from this week. I'm going to say about a Tevin Coleman, I think he could produce for you like that.
Who would you rather start, Tevin Coleman or Tariq Cohen this week?
This week I'm gonna go Coleman. This week I'd go Coleman.
Yeah, just because that Green Bay matchup.
Yeah, it's just too juicy. Too juicy.
All right. So, see, this is how it's going to work. So I'm going to move on to my next question here. Okay. Now, this quarterback was in the top 3 of fantasy productive quarterbacks and had a stat line of 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns.
Ding.
Mike.
Oh, man. It just escaped my head, too. Was
3,
it Alex Smith?
2. Oh, my gosh.
I think he threw 4, did he?
Well, first off, because first off, you didn't even answer the question properly because it has to be in the form of a question.
I said, was it Alex Smith?
No.
That's a question.
Who is Alex Smith? That was it.
Was it
Alex Smith?
Is also a question.
Think of it this way, Mike. If I came out and said a question to somebody, right? Was it Alex Smith? Are they gonna know I want the answer? Yeah, he was a top 3 quarterback week 1 and threw 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. Is that going to be the answer that they're going to expect if they gave me was it Alex Smith?
Yes.
No, you're we should call you dumb jobs. Like, and just move on from there. But it wasn't even Alex Smith anyway. So that was all of it was wrong and completely wrong. Who do you want to take a guess?
I'm going to take a guess. Who is Matthew Stafford?
Correct. The properly answered question is who is Sam Bradford?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say him.
Yeah, finished in top 3. But Alex Smith and Matthew Stafford, to both of your credits, did finish in the top 3 when Alex Smith, Stafford, Bradford in that order. So the reason I brought up Bradford is because I mean I like and I'll be honest, I really like all 3 after what I saw, but I think I like Bradford the most out of these 3. Alex Smith is second for me, Matthew Stafford third of these 3 quarterbacks. But I want to bring up their situation this week. You know, these were great streaming options. If you've listened to us at all in the past and listened to us tell you streaming is probably one of the best ways to do it. But would you, and I'll go to Mike on this one, would you think that Sam Bradford is a guy that maybe is somebody who could have quarterback 1 potential season long?
He had the Saints at home, so there's that to start things out. Temper expectations just a tiny bit, but I really think that team's going to click offensively, and I think Dalvin Cook's kind of the missing piece. I really think he can finish as a top 5 quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Well, you heard it here first. Yeah, that's impressive.
What about Alex Smith then? Is he number 1 quarterback?
No. I think that was a fluke week, but I mean, this is the second week, so this is where everything kind of starts tying together. Was it a fluke or was that the real deal, And so I think, if Alex Smith comes out and throws 4 more touchdowns, what are we going to say about him next week,
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
He does have a great quarterback as well. And, typically you see quarterbacks get better as they get older. So maybe Alex Smith is one of those guys that, I'm not saying that he's a top guy at all, though. I don't want people saying that. But, yeah, you just never know. I think he's a great streamer. He always has been a great streamer. He runs, he gets yardage on the ground. He can run for a touchdown, and he can throw some touchdowns. So, yeah,
well,
Alex
to be
Smith,
fair, too, Andy Reid has been saving his arm for like 5 years. So,
yeah, that's true. And Bradford, yeah, I like Bradford a lot. He had a great week, but I don't know. Against the Steelers, I don't know if he's going to have as much success. So I temper expectations a lot, especially this week. But I agree with Mike a lot, saying that Dalvin Cook can change a lot. I agree. He definitely does. And Thielen and Diggs, man, they look good. And then they got Rudolph that just is a great red zone threat. So you didn't see that last week, but you could see that this week from him.
One more question before we move on to the next Fantasy Jeopardy question is, of these three quarterbacks, so these were probably very popular. Well, maybe not popular pickups, but somebody may have had one of these guys streaming or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice is like people are going to see this. Oh my God, these guys finished in the top three. Who of these top three, if you had to choose, would you start this week?
I'd do Sam Bradford.
That's who I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards Sam Bradford. I see them in Pittsburgh. I could see that a high scoring game.
Who's the third? You said Bradford,
Alex Smith,
Stafford
and Matt Stafford, and Alex Smith.
I'd probably say Stafford has a better chance of doing it. The Giants' defense didn't look that great. They let Dak, just go out there, and not that he tore him up, but he had a pretty good game, an efficient game. And they didn't look like that top four defense coming into the team in the league as they were last year as far as fantasy. So I don't know. I would say that Stafford probably has a better chance this week.
Okay. All right, guys, let's move on to the next question here. So this is a surprise for me. This running back in PPR formats finished as the number 3 in total fantasy points scored by a running back. Yeah, he finished with 45 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Ding.
3 touchdowns. Oh, John.
Mike,
yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
Who is Mike Gillislee?
That is correct. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, because he only really got the 3 touchdowns and 45 yards, but he was the 3rd best running back last week in PPR formats. And only to top him was Kareem Hunt, obviously, and then Tariq Cohen.
That's right, on the road to 40 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's it. So, with that being said, Mike, this backfield is also a bit scary to trust. But do you think Gillislee did enough last week to prove that you should feel comfortable starting him in your lineup?
Yeah, I have a tough time just suggesting that just because I can't suggest starting Patriots running backs. And like I said last week, that's why I was so high on Dion Lewis right now, is because that's the curveball that I see Belichick throwing at the time. He's probably gonna use Dion Lewis right here, and only because he used White last week and he used Gillislee last week. But I mean, what I saw passed the eye test. I liked what I saw out of the guy. But it's just the Patriots backfield. It's trying to guess that guy, and I just don't like to do it.
Yeah, I would say Gillislee is probably the safest guy there. I think the only ones that's going to steal touchdowns from him, and we haven't seen it yet, it's going to be Rex Burkhead. But again, we already saw 3 touchdowns. I think you're going to see more of that. Not 3 touchdowns a game, but it's against the Saints. I mean, Dalvin Cook just tore him up. Is Dalvin Cook, but it's Gillislee. I mean, he was one of the top backs last year as far as yards per carry, as far as every time he touched the ball, he did great things with it. So he's in a great offense this year, one of the most elite offenses. We didn't see that last week, but, he's got the Saints this week. I mean, beautiful matchup. I don't see how you can leave him on your bench.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he's your RB2, like I know a guy in one of my leagues, he's got Le'Veon Bell as his RB1, and he's got Mike Gillislee as his RB2. He kind of panicked last week, didn't start him because he saw he was low on the depth chart, or, he's 3rd on the depth chart. And then, he ended up pulling out a victory, but barely. Well, I shouldn't say barely. The other guy he played against. So he scored 100. It was a PPR league. 105 points is my buddy he scored, and the other guy he played against had 59 points.
Ooh. Oh my God, how is that possible? Yeesh.
He had Kirk Cousins, Isaiah Crowell, Bilal Powell. It was Odell Beckham was hurt,
yeah,
so
you never know. He might have Julio Jones in there. He might have AJ Green in there. He had bad games.
Oh, he had Emmanuel Sanders in there. I mean, because Odell Beckham was out, so he had to start Emmanuel Sanders. It was a really bad lineup. But we just marked that. That's the lowest score ever in our fantasy league, and we've run that league for like about 5 years now.
That's a crown
So-
you don't want to wear, right?
Yeah, that's the crown you definitely don't want to own. Okay, so let's continue on. We are now tied with 1-1. Hus and Mike. You guys feeling the pressure yet?
Don't I have two? Or no, I got the other one wrong. Sorry.
No, nobody got the second one correct.
Yeah,
because you guessed Stafford and Mike didn't know how to play the fucking game. So
I still stand that was a question.
Nobody else does. Let's see. Okay. In PPR, this running back finished as the 32nd running back, which would surprise all.
The 32nd now.
Which would surprise all. Yes.
Who is Isaiah Crowell? Didn't have that bad in the game, I guess.
Mike, you want to give a guess?
Oh, I'm just thinking. Who is Le'Veon Bell?
That is correct.
Oh wow.
Le'Veon.
Yeah.
That's why I gave the clue. It would surprise all because nobody saw Le'Veon Bell as the 32nd running back.
Yeah, man.
Against the Browns.
Against the Browns. I mean, it was it was very rough. But as I mentioned before, the reason I like Bradford is because I like this game a lot. There's a lot of games I actually like this week, but for fantasy purposes, I don't think the Steelers defense is as good as it looked against the Browns. I mean, I think they're good, but I think against a good offense like what we saw of the Vikings, yeah, they played a really crap defense. But I think that Vikings offense is a lot better. I think these teams are so well-rounded, but their offenses are so much better than their defenses. I think that this could be a high-scoring game, and I see like guys like Le'Veon Bell getting back to back to prominence. What do you think, Mike?
I completely agree. I think this is going to be a high-scoring shootout. I think you're going to see exactly what you said. Just the offenses are just a hair better than the defenses, and that's what's going to stand out. I think both teams have an incredible defense, but their offenses outdo them by a ton.
Yeah, I think that you should be feeling like Le'Veon Bell. He had to shake off the cobwebs, from missing a whole preseason, and I think this week he's going to be good to go.
Absolutely.
Dang it. Got it.
Don't worry.
Dirty jobs.
We got a couple more questions, so you might be able to pull out an upset here.
Yeah, do a bonus round where it's like worth 2 points and stuff.
Is that what I gotta do?
I gotta come back.
You wager your points.
Oh man. Oh, that's true. Yeah, True Jeopardy style.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we got your next question coming up. I mean, it is getting hot in here. I mean, we're going to see just what's going to happen. I got another most targeted question for you guys. So why don't you listen in? This wide receiver was targeted 9 times, like many. However,
right.
However, his stat line was 2 catches, 43 yards, no touchdowns.
Kerplunk.
Go for it, Hus.
Who's John Brown?
Negative. Mike, you want to take a guess?
Stat line one more time.
He was targeted 9 times, but he only caught 2 for 43 yards.
Okay, ding. Who is
Yes,
Chris
Mike.
Ivory?
No, I said he was a wide receiver.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said running back. I just
Well,
thought I heard you say
wide
targets. I heard you say targets, and my brain just went.
Anyway, you were wrong.
You were wrong. You were both wrong.
Yeah.
The answer to that, by the way, was who is Des Bryant.
Oh yeah, man. He stunk it up, and I'm concerned
he might stink it up this entire season.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hus?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't high on the guy at all this year, and I had him, I put out a couple rankings this year, put a couple out on Fantasy Life over the summer, early rankings. And then I gave some official ones, and I gave some on SleeperBot, and I got a lot of hate for people saying, "Man, you got Dez way too low," and I forced him into like a wide receiver 2 because I wasn't even comfortable putting him there. But I was just like, maybe I am too low on him. And I just, I just think the offense, the way it runs, they like to run, they like to dink and dunk to, and it's the quarterbacks, they have rapport with certain guys, and he's got a rapport with Terrence Williams, and he's a guy that he likes there. Dez Bryant's going to get that double coverage most of the time. I mean, he's that good. You got to cover him, and if you leave him open, he's going to score a long touchdown on you. He's going to still have those games for you, but I don't think you're going to have many of them. And he's playing so many great defenses this year. We've been hearing about that a lot over the summer, but it's true. I mean, we're going to be able to see who, what the defenses are. They add players. Sometimes it doesn't always play out the way you think, when you add players, but he's got a tough schedule. And I mean, I don't know, I've never really been that high. Now, I don't want to say never, but in the past couple of years, I haven't been that high on him based on the offense. And yeah, I'm continuing just going to be down on him. I'd trade him if you can for something or something.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Dez Bryant finished tied as the 53rd wide receiver in PPR scoring formats. Yeesh. And, I mean, he doesn't have a better matchup this week playing against the Broncos. For me, he's a sit. You don't start him.
Yeah, the Broncos looked real. I mean, they let Los Angeles back into the game.
But that was off of interceptions and, the interception and the fumble. I mean, so, that's not even the defense that allowed that really to happen. And not to mention, I mean, it's a division rival,
Right.
Right. I mean, so
San Diego always plays Denver tough, like for
Los
sure.
Angeles, but yeah.
One of these days I'll catch up with that.
Shake that. You're worse than Sean Merriman with that, right?
You can't hate a team for 30 years of your life and not say San Diego over and over again. I promise.
San Diegans.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. He's
not a good matchup.
No, I'm not starting him this week.
I think you could possibly flex him, but I mean, you're probably gonna have better. I'd start Cup over him, So
right.
I mean,
I would start Cup over him. I think I'd start Galladay over him.
Wow, these are bold statements, but I
wouldn't start Galladay over him, but
I think I would.
I'd start.
Well, I'll make a wager that Galladay scores more fantasy points than Dez Bryant.
Oof. I think I got to take that.
For this week.
I have to take it. Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I follow you this week.
Okay. All right, put it down.
I take that.
Who's me? Galladay versus Dez. I mean, it's bold. It's the boldest bet you're ever going to get out of me.
Yeah, it's the boldest bet you're going to get out of me liking guys that I don't like. So I don't know how you got me to make this bet, but I guess.
You're taking Dez Bryant. At least he's the proven commodity. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm the one taking a risk on somebody we've seen in preseason and one game.
Yeah, this is weird. It's just usually the reverse.
Exactly. I usually say no.
Right. Yeah, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna say Dez over Galladay this week. But I do like Cup. I mean, yeah, he's a flex though.
Cup is a flex for sure. I would definitely flex out Cup over Dez. Sure. No question. Mike, you think that's even bold, huh?
Yeah, you're talking about Dez Bryant. I mean, that's the only thing that's bold about it is you're talking about a very proven wide receiver that at any given time you just throw the ball up in his neck of the woods and he's going to catch it for a touchdown. I mean, that's what that guy does for a living. So
yeah, but you got
Boost. We got one of these guys with us. One of those. Oh, he's got his name value. We can't not start him because his name is Dez Bryant.
Oh man,
he's got the name value. How many points do you get for name value?
I say a big fat 0.
That's what you get. No,
I want to know from Mike. 16 points for name value. Well, then
16 points for Dez Bryant. I think he puts up a decent outing. But I think there's
like
other
Dez Bryant.
people that are going to do better.
Yeah, and he doesn't have Romo anymore. So I mean, that's why we love Dez Bryant. Romo's sitting there being who's the prophet on TV now, like getting every play right on TV. Did you guys see that segment? That was amazing, by the way. If you guys didn't see that segment, it was awesome.
I did not. I'll have to check it back. But I'm going to make another bold statement of the future. I'm going to pull a Prophet Hus here. I'm going to say Antonio Brown. I'm not going to love him when Roethlisberger's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, not at least that first year.
Yeah.
He won't be an automatic first round pick.
I say he'd still be like a safe third. He'd be like a third round guy.
Third round, sure, but I ain't taking him. But I ain't taking him top 3 or top 4 overall like he's going now. Not without Roethlisberger.
We're probably gonna see it's probably the last year after he took a long, hard look at it.
And Brown's not getting any younger. I still think he's got a few good years in him, but depends on the quarterback. Really depends on who's throwing them the ball. And if it ain't Roethlisberger, I don't know.
Oh, I cannot back that statement.
I don't want to think
Antonio
about
Brown
that.
would do good with any quarterback, and that's
really like Michael Vick
and
like Michael Vick. You mean right? Michael Vick was so good.
No, Michael Vick was terrible too. I'm saying get a good quarterback, get a gunslinger back there, and they'll be.
It's hard to get those guys. Though. I mean,
but correct me if I'm wrong? Didn't Mike just say with any quarterback? I mean, any quarterback should include like Landry Jones and Michael Vick. No.
No, but they're not quarterbacks.
Oh, they're not. I mean,
no,
they're
paid
retired. To be quarterbacks.
Landry Jones. He might as well retire.
Landry Jones did give Antonio Brown. I believe he had like 15, 16 points one game when Landry Jones started.
Ooh.
Not Antonio Brown numbers. It's more like Cooper Kupp numbers.
Right.
But still, that's like third, fourth round material if he's going to do that every week.
Listen, I'm just saying. It's going to be tough to trust Antonio Brown to put up the Antonio Brown numbers we know with a different quarterback because we have not seen it yet.
Right. Fair enough.
And that's where I'd be so down on Dez. I mean,
exactly. It's a different quarterback, and he's got some of the strongest cornerbacks that he's going to play this whole season. He already played Janoris Jenkins once. He's got him again. He's going to have either Chris Harris or Aqib Talib this weekend. He's got Josh Norman twice this year. It's going to be a brutal, brutal season as a Dez Bryant owner. I would not have wanted him this year, and I would have argued against picking him this year. So,
for sure.
But let's move on. We got a couple more questions left before we get ready to wrap up the show. All right. This wide receiver in PPR formats finished as the 63rd, tied as the 63rd overall wide receiver and in his fantasy scoring. And he was a 5th round draft pick this season.
Kerplunk.
Go ahead, Hus.
I'm going to guess that it's a segue from Ben Roethlisberger to Martavis Bryant.
You said 5th round pick.
And I'm wrong anyway because I didn't answer it correctly.
I'm glad you could learn from your own.
Who is Martavis Bryant?
Oh, is that what you wanted?
Who is Martavis Bryant? That's what I started with.
It's Mike's anyways. Mike, why don't you give me the proper way to answer this question?
Who is Corey Davis?
No, damn it. Who gave you the answer?
I
couldn't answer it properly.
Don't you have a point?
Martavis Bryant?
Yes.
He's a 5th round pick this year.
5th, 6th round pick. Around there. That's where I saw him in average.
Not in NFL drafts and fantasy drafts.
Okay, that's where I was lost. That's where I was lost at. I'm like, how could it be Martavis Bryant? He's been in the NFL for like 3 years. Like, he's not a 5th round pick this year.
Oh, come on.
Like, who's this off his rocker? What's going on? He's naming third-year breakouts.
Right.
Drafted this year.
No, I'm talking about.
It's Martavis. That's funny.
All right. So it was Martavis Bryant. So you were so close, Hus, you couldn't seal it up. So, we were just talking about a little bit of the Steelers. I felt it was appropriate just to bring this up because he was an interesting stat, a guy I was also down on this year. Mike, just give me a quick answer if you think he's a bounce back this week.
I think he's a must start this week, yes.
Must start. Wow.
Must start. If you start him at home.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, guys, Big Ben's got the splits at home. The guy looks good at home. He had a decent game last week. He didn't look like he was gonna have a good game. But then we looked at it and we was like, well, he's on the road. So he's home now. So yeah, I Brian could catch one or two long bombs. You know, that's when Big Ben looks great. That's when he looks top 5 at home.
All right. Well, I'm certainly not going to get excited for Martavis Bryant just because, I mean, he's the third receiving option on that team. And, man, I mean, it only takes one catch, 80 yards, and a touchdown for him to have a damn good game, and that's kind of his deal. But
well, you're going to have Xavier Rhodes all over Antonio Brown this week. So.
Right.
Honestly, with Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown at home, Antonio Brown can't be covered.
Yeah, I mean, that guy threw a perfect. I mean, what was Antonio Brown 9 for 9? He caught every ball that he threw to him. So, man, that is those guys are like. You guys ever watched Dragon Ball Z? They're like Vegeta and with the other guy. They're like Super Saiyan together.
Goku,
like a Goku, yeah. They merged together and they're like a Super Saiyan together. They're so in sync. Yeah. And yeah, that also just brings me back to what we were talking about earlier about Big Ben retiring, because you're not going to see 9 for 9 anymore. But we've moved on from that. So
yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to one of our last questions here. It's another targeted question because I found this one to be interesting. Okay.
Okay.
And okay, so this one, I'm going to throw a little curveball into it. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm getting
in anticipation.
Oh, yeah.
Running hot.
Coming at you.
Building.
Right.
All right. This rookie wide receiver finished last week with 10 targets, which was the highest amongst any rookie wide receiver in week 1 this season.
Kerplunk.
Ding.
Oosh.
Who is Corey Davis?
That is correct.
Ka-chow.
I lied. I didn't really throw a curveball because I was gonna do something else, but I thought, you know what, they're not gonna understand it. They don't even know how to play the game properly. Like, I can't be throwing these weird questions at them.
Yeah, Corey Davis, man. Who knew though? I mean, those 10 targets went by so unnoticingly. I feel
what was
like,
that word? What was that?
I said it slow, so it didn't sound like a word, but
I don't even know if
unnoticingly.
Word.
Unnoticingly, yeah, sure.
You mean unnoticeably?
Now I'm lost.
Isn't it the same thing? No.
Unnoticeably.
I feel like
is a word. Is a
unnoticingly,
word.
unnoticeably. Okay, now I feel like Ocean from like 2 seasons ago. What's up, Ocean? If you're still listening to us, jeez.
Anyways, go ahead. Continue.
Yes. So
English.
Yes, unnoticeably, I thought it was it was a lot of targets unnoticeably thrown his way. Not that many people talking about it. Little bit of a surprise. So good news for Corey Davis owners. Still like me some Rashard Matthews though. I mean, that guy is just so efficient. When whatever's thrown his way, he's another I was gonna say like Antonio Brown. I don't want to say Antonio Brown, but he catches the ball when it's thrown to him. When Mariota throws to him, similar to the way Roethlisberger. They had that same connection. I wanted to say. I got
to bring this up because I had in one league where I cut this guy, and I had no issues with it, and it was Eric Decker. I had no qualms about cutting Eric Decker.
Oh yeah,
just because his name is Eric Decker. I was like, you know what? The guy was a bum last week, and with the way Corey Davis was targeted, Delaney Walker was still involved in the passing game, and they have Rashard Matthews, not to mention their 2 running backs. It seems like people thought Eric Decker was going to be a good target in this offense, but he might not be much of anything in this offense.
Yeah, I think Mike and I were probably really, really, and I was just surprised because I felt like I was the only one on the Rashard Matthews train. And Mike was right there along with me, like every episode, saying, no, it's not Decker. It's not Corey Davis. It's Rashard Matthews. It's still going to be Rashard Matthews. So that's why I was saying it is surprising that, at least for me, Corey Davis got all those targets, but I still love me some Rashard Matthews, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, no, I'm still way on board. He looks for him when it's important in the red zone.
Yep.
Listen, I think Rashard Matthews is good. I just think that Corey Davis is more talented. I think he's more of a number one wide receiver, where Rashard Matthews is a number two.
I just think I don't know. I think the guy has I don't know. He was so good in Miami. I think if he was the only guy there, and I was beginning to write a piece over the summer, and it just didn't come out. So sorry about that. But I was writing a piece saying that he has that. I was going to say he's elite. I think he is elite. I think he just doesn't have that opportunity to be elite. If he was the only guy there, you throw him on the Saints, he's Michael Thomas, I believe. He just doesn't have the shot. But they paid him. I think he's going to see opportunities. Hopefully, I don't want to say that. I was going to say hopefully some guy gets injured. That would be terrible. That would be terrible.
Look at you.
Terrible. That would be terrible. But hopefully he sees more opportunities, and hopefully no one gets injured, and he sees more opportunities somehow, because he's just so efficient with the ball.
Ooh, you dastardly villain! Want people to get hurt? Shame.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Guys, with that last one, it's a tie.
That's right.
It's
almost
2-2.
Had me there. Almost had me.
It was 2-2. Unless you guys want me to dig up a bonus question.
I don't think we want any losers so close into the week.
So you sure you don't want to be? Because this one might be an easy one.
What do you think, Dirty?
Oh,
you got one more.
I'm not afraid. But also I'm not afraid to tie.
This is last. Come on, last one.
Okay.
All right. This wide receiver in standard leagues, throw a curveball here for you. In standard leagues, was the 7th overall wide receiver who plays for the Denver Broncos.
Oh, sorry, Kaplunk. Forgot my buzzer.
Who is?
Geez, what is that guy's name? Fowler. Who is Fowler?
I'll give it to you. It's Benny Fowler.
Oh, look, I know something.
Don't feel bad. I'm a diehard Broncos fan, and I couldn't remember who's.
Yeah, I was just like, I remember he called like 2 passes, and that's all he did, but they were touchdowns. So
yep,
14.1 fantasy points, guys.
Yeah.
It probably means nothing. I thought it was just interesting to point out, but some people might overreact. In PPR, he finished 13th overall as a wide receiver. So I just wanted to point out, though, guys, you cannot overreact to things like this.
Right.
Like the Austin Hooper stat line, I think is going to be an overreaction.
Yeah, for sure.
The Benny Fowler one. So just stick with us, because we'll help you guys get through what's real and what's not. Right?
Excellent.
True words never spoken.
So congratulations, Hus. You pulled it out, a 3-2 victory.
Ciao.
You son of a.
Week 2. You'll give me next time, Mike. I'm pretty sure of it. Yours.
Just wait until we have more weeks in the system. Maybe we'll have to do another one, week 7, with 6 weeks of information.
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be good. Well, Mike was a fierce competitor, so
you guys better study. That's all I have to say.
Who is?
What is?
That? No,
is
still.
That? Yeah.
Still not a question.
Still not was that either.
Was it?
So, Mike, I mean, at least it was fun. At least you got your hands dirty in it. You got involved. How was it for you?
I really enjoyed it. It really makes you think about stat lines and things like that. And one thing I don't ever really look at is numbers. Like, we got a numbers guy for that. I just ask Professor Chris for any time I need those, right? I just go by the eye test and things like that. So really makes you have to think on the ball, and it's kind of crazy. It also makes you think, like, wow, Le'Veon Bell, the 32nd running back. That's
right.
Astounding.
Right. Exactly. I thought some of these were real surprises. I mean, Tariq Cohen was the most targeted running back of last week, and then think about the top 3 quarterbacks this past week. I mean, it was a really wild week 1.
It's week 1.
It's week 1. I mean, like looking at some other numbers, guys. I mean, looking at the quarterback position, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I mean, those guys were so low. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was
outside
as far as
12.
fantasy point. Yeah, no, he was he was just at 12.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was just at 12. Tom Brady finished at 18.
Oof.
You want to know a name who finished better than Tom Brady? Mike Glennon.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That means that we have a quarterback better than Tom Brady right now on the Bears.
I just hope Brady was sitting when you said that.
You saw that, and I feel like Nick, you saw that, and that scene from Bloodsport when Jean-Claude Van Damme gets that stuff sprayed in his eyes.
Uh-huh.
You saw that, and you're just like, you're looking like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Like that scene from right there. Like,
I mean,
true.
yeah. I mean, it was like, listen, Alec. I mean, listen, I'm not a big fan of Mike Glennon. I'm waiting to see what. I'm like, cool, Glennon. When's Trubisky?
Right, Trubisky.
Yeah, right. When are we getting Trubisky in there? Yeah. But I mean, listen, these are the names of the quarterbacks that finished above Tom Brady: Alex Smith, Stafford, Bradford, Simeon was 4th. Ooh. Carson Wentz, Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Derek Carr, Deshaun Kaiser was number 8. Then you got Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff at 13. He was better than Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, and then Mike Glennon.
Yeah, all these guys are over, man. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, these guys are over. Forget about
it. Yeah, that's it. Shut them down. Shut them down.
Week 1 is the truth. No, not at all. Week 1 is an aberration. It's week 1. We're gonna have to do overreaction theater. We didn't do that this week for week 1, but man, so much of it though. So much of it.
I know. We will have to do overreaction theater, and it will be the most fun ever.
Yes,
but I will be at the Giants game, and then I am going to be gone for about 2 weeks, guys.
I'm gonna miss you.
I know. I've got the Giants game next Monday. I'm gonna be working, making that money.
Thursday, making that bacon.
And then I'm off. Yeah, and then I'm off on a cruise.
Pretty sweet, right in the middle of fantasy season. Just taking off. Okay.
My late honeymoon. Whoa, who's let the dogs out? Right? Am I right?
Sorry, man. Damn.
The dogs did not like that news.
Yes.
Damn.
Nick, you better not go.
Yeah, right.
That could be an omen. Yeah, it's a little late honeymoon for me and the missus. So
very nice. Well, you enjoy that.
We'll do.
Definitely. We'll make sure to tell all the sleepers to blow your Twitter up while you're away.
Excellent. That doesn't happen anyways, but good luck. Mike, why don't you give us your Dirty Jobs player of the week?
This week, you had Pete Carroll standing there like a boss, and he noticed something in that Seattle backfield. He saw Chris Carson out there working, and he's going to get that job. He's going to actually be the #1 running back for that team within 2 weeks tops. But this weekend, he's going to rip them up already. You got Seattle at home. I know they look terrible against Green Bay, right? But look at the home road splits with old Russell Wilson there, and you'll see that he's got a little bit of similarities towards like people like Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, things of that nature. So I think Seattle's going to probably get up pretty hefty, pretty quick, and they're going to use the crud out of Chris Carson this weekend.
Yeah. Beautiful. I don't know if for this weekend I would trust Chris Carson, but with Rawls coming back, but I like him long play. I don't think Rawls will stay healthy, and Lacey looked awful. So
yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I think you're going to see Chris Carson just dominate back there.
Could be. I agree. All right, guys, that is all the time we have. We are about to wrap this biatch up. It has been week 2, guys. Please go to our website at sleeperwire.com to go ask us questions. You can also ask us questions on SleeperBot. I am at SWNick. Hoos, you are at Prophet Hoos?
That is correct, sir.
And Mike, you are at Dirty Jobs, correct?
That is correct.
All right. See, I know a little bit. And then on Twitter, On Twitter, please follow us there at Sleepwire Show. You can also reach out to us there, get all your news from us as well. You can also follow me at Sleepwire Nick. Hus, where are you on Twitter?
I am Who's the Prophet on Twitter. And on Fantasy Life, I'm Who's the Prophet. So I'm just Prophet Who's on SleeperBot.
Excellent. I am Sleepwire Nick as well on the Fantasy Life app. Mike, where else can they find you on Twitter and wherever else?
You can find me at Dr. Kane21 on Twitter, and that's about the only. Oh, and at Dirty Jobs Mike D on Instagram. Follow me, and I'll show you some nasty stuff.
Oh yeah, or don't.
Or don't and enjoy your life.
Not
Yeah,
for the
unless you want
stomach.
unless you want to do that blood sport thing over that Jean-Claude Van Damme thing. My eyes.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. This has been fun. And just one more reminder before we leave you guys. Please, 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 I'm begging you. We've told you this. We tell you this all the time. We do this for our friend Rob. Deals with chronic Lyme disease. You can go to sleepwire.com or gofundme.com/RobJR to learn more information. So please, guys, go there, go donate, help him get the treatment he needs. All right? Thank you so much. Hus, Mike, thank you, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Always fun.
All right. For Mike and Hus, I'm Nick Sumrall saying so long, everybody. Good night.
All right.
Night.
Sleeper Wire, the only fantasy football radio show with more than a dozen multi-time, multi-league, multi-year champions. Listen to the Sleeper Wire show every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Dash Talk.